But as you mentioned, Cube, is that when people look at you and I, and they think that all black people, well, Cube, you made it. Shannon Sharpe, you made it. Oprah, and you got LeBron, and you got Denzel. But we're the only race of people that if you can succeed, and they say, well, you did it, everybody else. But that's not how white America views it. White America doesn't look at it and say, well, Jeff Bezos has 183 billion, so everybody else is good. They say it's not. We need to get everybody up to get economic prosperity. You look at the Asian community, you look at the Jewish community, everybody is about pulling everybody else up. But in the black community, they say, well, if you feel you get out, you good.
Yeah, that's just not true. And even we've had help. You know, I couldn't have made it without, at the time, a record company distributing the record and putting it out. You know, Easy had the label, but he had to go through McCullough as a distributor. So you had to, you know, play on the Broncos, and that don't make you a bad guy. And the Ravens to, you know, to do your thing. You know what I'm saying? So, but those organizations were still in place. So that's a form of help. And our communities, we got businesses that if they could get a loan, if they can get some, just a little capital, a little help, they can grow that business and hire more people and expand and have different franchises. But when we can't get that initial spot of capital to help us jumpstart even a home loan, you know, we're shut out. We only get 3% of all the money in the bank loaned out to black people in their businesses. Now, 97% go to other communities. Now, we're 13.5% of the country. If they just bump that to 13.5% loan out and, you know, where guys can borrow, not unqualified guys. I'm talking about prime lending. Right. You know, it'll help us catch up because the wealth gap is what's killing us. Right. You know, every dollar a white person is worth, a black person is worth 10 cents. And that just can't stand right now. We can't survive off of that wealth gap. And it's not getting smaller. It's growing. It's growing.
And the thing is that, you know, look, I'm not saying, and I think you're echoing and saying the same thing I'm saying. I'm not saying help me because I'm black, but please don't deny me because I'm black.
Thank you. I mean, just like, you know, $3 trillion was given to companies, you know, I mean, $600 was given to some Americans, but for the most part, they bailed out all these different companies and these different, you know, billionaires. But how many black companies were bailed out with that $3 trillion? With 13.5% of the country, we should at least got 13.5% of that $3 trillion to help our companies. 42% of black companies went under during this COVID situation. And that's a shame when they're helping companies that's been bailed out over and over and over and over again with the American people money, and 13.5% of that money's ours. So, you know, of course the numbers shift here and there, but you get my drift. You get my point.
You had something, a contract with America. You said you want to address racial economic inequality. So in your contract, how does America make it right with Black America?
Man, it's a lot of simple things they could do. You know, just take government contracts. If we got 13% of the government contracts out there, that would give our communities a big boost. Like I said, with lending, you know, lending money, you know, other things that we need to do. Of course, we need to reform policing, but also the justice system and the prison system. You know, if you don't reform all three, what'll happen is you reform the police, and then, you know, if you do get arrested, you get a bad DA or, you know, prosecutor that don't give up the evidence and give up all the discovery and do all these games. Now they done railroaded you to prison. Prison got their own games where if they're not filled to the top, the prison have to pay money. So they're going to make sure they fill to the top with guilty and innocent people. So it's a thing where this is a business ran on off our pain, not just black people, but brown people.
Mm-hmm.
It's off our pain, red people, off our pain. And these systems, continue to thrive and grow, and people get big money off them. So all these things got to be reformed. If we're treated fair, you don't have to defund the police. If you just get good guys and make the bad guys accountable and get them off the force, then we would love the police like any other community. But when you keep the bad guys and they come abuse us and beat our head in, of course we don't want them there.
Right. And the thing is, you mentioned bank and finance reform, is that we play a higher lending, we play a higher rate on the loan, but we're quicker to get floor closed on.
All that, every game in the book is played off of us. We pay more. We pay more in taxes, property taxes, for the police, and then they the ones come beat our head in. So all these little games that's being played on our backs, that's relegated us to the bottom of this economic pyramid. We have to sniff them out and cut them out, and things would flow, and you won't see so much frustration. People they can pay their bills and do their thing, and know where their next meal coming from. You don't think about going out in the street looting. So
That seems to me, Dr. King said riots is the language of the unheard. And it seems to me that black people say the only time you hear us is that when we burning stuff down, when we're busting out of windows. We were crying for 400 years. And it seems to be when you get the 65 Watts riot, or you get 92, or you get the Ferguson, or you get Baltimore, or you got the what we just had, George Floyd. He says that seems to be the only time that you hear us. Why can't you hear us before we burn down stuff? Why can't you hear us before we loot and steal stuff? Why does it take that to get your attention?
That's a good point. These things that's in the contract with Black America, they're not new concepts. It's not like we came up with something that, people haven't talked about and studied. People a lot smarter than us have put their whole life around some of these issues. And so it's the political will. It's people knowing what they need to do, but they don't want to rock their own boat.
Right.
So we have to force people to have the political will. And it's really, all these people are scared to not get reelected. So
right.
If we harness that energy in harnessing our vote and sniffing out people who don't want to help us, that's in high places, that's been there, and get them out of there and replace them with people that's better, we'll continue to run into this problem. We have to use our real power. And it's silent, but it's deadly. Because you get somebody out of there and they know you're going to get them out of there, you're not going to vote unless they support your platform or your agenda.
Right.
Then that's where the real power comes from. That's where real change in this country comes from. The looting and rioting and all that will only get you so far.
Correct.
At the end of the day, we got to change policy, legislation, hearts and minds, and that's when it's all said and done, that's the only thing that really, gets people out of this pain.
The one thing that we know about power, Cube, is that people in power want to stay in power, and power concedes nothing without demand. Nobody say, you know what? I've been in power long enough. I think I want to go. What? I want to be fair about this. You have to demand it, and you have to take actions.
Yes, that's why the contract with Black America was a necessary foundation of taking action, of asking for things that we need, as a whole. I don't hit everything. There's a section that I believe that we need to do on Black women when it comes to the contract with Black America, that need to highlight the things that, our women are going through, when it comes to the workplace and in America, period. It's room for improvement, and I want suggestions. I'm not a legislator, so I really want the people whose job it is to do this to grab this thing and run with it. So to me, we have to, first of all, spread the word, make sure everybody going to cwba.world. We got a 4-page version of the contract. We got a 23-page longer version of the contract. Make yourself familiar with either version and push for it, because this is what we can do to make these candidates that's running in November do something, and not just
hold them
take our
accountable.
vote for granted and leave us. Have you ever walked in a club with some people and they supposed to get you in and they forget to look back?
Yeah, they get in themselves, but they leave you standing.
Yeah, they forget to look back, and I thought you was right behind me, and that's how they've been doing us. We get them in office, and they get in and forget to look back sometimes. So we're gonna make sure we grab them by the arm and say, "Hey, man, we with you. We going in with you, and we need you to do the things we need done."
You know what to do. Hit the subscribe button to become an official member of Club Shay Shay, where we always do something for two something.